Good afternoon and welcome to episode 35. I've made it to 35 of Real&Raw Conversations with Shalina. So this afternoon, we are talking about the 7 powerful ways that you can rebuild your confidence. And this is something that resonates very deeply with me, and I'm sure it would resonate quite deeply with a lot of you who will be watching, that there are times where we do feel that we are not feeling our best, not feeling confident. There was a time I did not have any confidence in the world. So I completely resonate with this, and I cannot wait to divulge deep into this topic. So without further ado, I'm just going to bring this lovely lady on. Hello. How are you?
Good, gorgeous. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to talk about this because I feel like so many people can relate to this feeling of not feeling your best, not doing your best. So
Or not having any
yeah, just not having the confidence. That was me for a long time. So I completely resonate with this. Can you please tell the audience, who are you? What do you do? What makes you so passionate? Why do you do what you do?
Oh my God, that could go for the whole interview, but I'll just say it in a nutshell.
I love that.
So, let's just say I am turning 50 this year and I've lived a life. There have been multiple times in my life when I have lost my confidence. So, it goes back to the first time I can really remember is when I was bullied for my religion in high school, right? And I mean bullied to the point where I actually had to change classes. That was at the age of, what was I, about 13, 14. So it was something that from, they say childhood, it really stuck with me. Yeah. So right from that young age, I went into people pleaser mode. And I was sexually abused by my very first major boyfriend at 16 years old. And again, that was because people pleaser, because he, without going into details, because I don't want to trigger people, but, he was, saying that I needed to do certain things to keep him happy. Yeah. And being that people pleaser, I went along with it. I didn't actually recognize it for what it was until later in life.
Yes.
So, I've had that experience. I've had a couple of domestic violent marriages. My first marriage, which is where I had my children, which is, I would say that is one of the 2 most significant times in my life when I lost my confidence. So, we had, we got married at 20. At 23, I had 2 kids under the age of 18 months. We had a mortgage that we couldn't afford. We had no furniture. My husband had lost his job, so we started to run a home-based business. Yeah. I was still suffering postnatal depression, and in the background, which is what I didn't know was happening, was my husband was taking drugs. So it was, I honestly, God, it was like a boiling pot ready to explode, and it did. It was domestic violence that it came to, and so I think when the kids were about 6 and 7, I actually left him. Because I was actually to the point where, and I don't say this lightly, I had pills in my hand ready to take to end my life, right? Because I did not have any confidence in myself because of everything I was being told. And there's 2 things that saved my life, and they were my kids who were in their beds asleep. It's the only reason I didn't do it at that time. Yeah. So they saved my life, Yeah. So what came out of that, I left that marriage, but I had to rebuild myself again, because I came out of it, well, who is Ali? She was a wife. She's not anymore. Yes. And what I had been told in that relationship was a heap of shitty things about myself. Like, I've just basically been told I was no good as a human being. So I started to believe that. So why would you have confidence after that? So I really had to find myself again. So that's the first time. And I'll quickly just share. So the second time that happened, I lost my confidence totally, was only 5 years ago, so 2017. And I was in a really successful job. It was the highest paying job I've ever had. And I was working in the front office of a primary school. Yeah. We had we had a new boss, had started a couple of years ago, and he was quite a narcissist, right? We thought he was the bee's knees. I know, roll your eyes, girl. We thought he was the bee's knees when he started. We quickly found out that he was quite an asshole and he was a narcissist.
Yeah.
But me being in the front office of the school, and I was like, you know, the office manager at that stage, I was seeing, like, if you can imagine working in an office and of a school, it's like the hub of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I was watching him manipulate everybody around me, including myself. And I saw him and experienced a lot of sexual harassment, right? And so I was watching it, but I was also experiencing it myself.
Yeah.
Now, because of my history of domestic violence, I actually had a few of my colleagues come up to me and say, would you report him for sexual harassment? So I went, and I felt an obligation to do that because of my history. Yeah. So I went and reported him. I didn't realize at the time how bad my mental health was. And I still get emotional when I talk about this because it's only 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's quite recent.
I went and reported him, and the day that I went into the head office and I was speaking to the allegations to a panel, they got to the last question and they said to me, what do you want to happen to this guy? And I don't know why that question got me, but that was the minute that I totally broke down. It was a complete mental breakdown, and that was the moment. Yeah. So the next day I went off my work cover. I ended up resigning that job. I was diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, depression. And again, overnight, you know, it was like, so overnight I lost my income, my job, I lost friends because of that. And again, I didn't know who Ali was. So I had to rebuild her yet again.
One more time. First time.
How many times does this have to happen to a woman?
Wow.
I laugh, but it's not funny.
I think sometimes when we go through trauma, we laugh as a means to cope. Like I've done that as a means to cope through the trauma. That's
100%.
You can write a book on this if you haven't already.
Oh, girlfriend, it's on my to-do. It's on my vision board for this year. If anyone out there and they want to help me write a book, I'm right here.
Let's do this. Wow. So today we're talking about the 7 ways to rebuild your confidence. And obviously through your experience, you've come up with these 7 ways. So how did it manifest for you? Was it like a step-by-step sort of thing, like, oh, first I did this and then this, or did it just come to you like, oh, wow, this is the way to rebuild the confidence? How did this theme come to you, this topic?
Well, I mean, at the time while I was doing it, I just did it because I did, you know, it was, you just do what you have to do to survive.
Yeah.
As I've come into coaching and I've gone on a bit of a journey. So last year, what was it? What are we, 222? I can't even keep track.
I feel the same.
Hang on. Wait. In 2020, right, I made the choice that I was going to do personal coaching and I was going to help ladies who were just like me, who survived trauma, who survived hardship, right?
Yes.
I've gone on a bit of a transition, but back then what I did was I thought back on how, you know, to come up with these 7 ways, I really had to think about, well, what did I do? You know, in all the times that I've had to rebuild myself, how the fuck did I do it? Because you don't, when you're doing it, you don't even realize you're doing it. And you just, because we literally go into survival mode.
Yes.
And that's what happened to me. So it was amazing when I sat down, when I started doing the coaching, and I sat down and I went, oh, okay, oh, that's what happened at that moment. Oh, that's what I did. Oh, I see how that worked for me now. So then I was able to build, you know, it was literally going from what I had done myself in personal experience and how other people had helped me, because I couldn't do it alone.
Yes.
I needed professional help, right? Yes. And that was kind of how that, if you like, manifested or came about, was the program that I was able to put together. And I helped many, many women in that area. And you know, it was amazing to watch their transformation as I worked with them. It was so cool. It was just my heart. Oh, I get goosebumps.
I need to hear this. I feel like everybody who's watching, I think they need to know what these 7 steps are. Can we get into it? Can we get into this is the part that I'm waiting for, because I reckon it's going to help me too. You never know.
Hey, you never know. I am more than happy to do that. So the first thing is we have to make a decision that we want to find ourselves again, right? Yes. Now, this might seem really basic, but often we can, it's the victim versus survivor, right?
Yes.
And we are tempted when, you know, like I said, I have worked with a lot of ladies who've survived similar stuff to me, trauma, yes. Domestic violence. There is a time, and I believe there's a reason that we go through a period of I want to say self-pity, but that's not a bad thing, right? We need to sit in that for a little while. We need to feel through those feelings.
Yes.
But there always is going to come a time when we need to make that decision to move forward. Yes. Once you make that decision, that's the first powerful, I believe actually that's the most powerful thing that's going to help you rebuild your confidence. You have to make the decision, right? Yes. And a lot of people have said to me, Ali, you're so strong. Well, when you make that decision, the last thing that you feel is strong. Because you haven't got your shit together, but you make the decision that you want to get it together. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So
and
that's
that sometimes, isn't it? Just to get to that stage of saying to yourself, I want to start this journey of confidence or get to a better state. That's so hard for some people because they don't know what it involves sometimes.
Yes, that's exactly right. And especially and something that I hesitated in making that decision to move forward was I hesitated because I was scared, because I knew that to move forward I would have to delve into myself, and that is a scary thing. It can be if you allow it. It doesn't have to be, but let's call a spade a spade. It can be bloody scary. Especially when you have been told a lot of shit about yourself that isn't true.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm a swear bear. I can't help but swear.
That's all right. The more the merrier.
Oh, all right. We'll be in there.
Chuck it out there. Yes, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
So the second step that I've got is a second step, but it's a reminder. It's probably more of a reminder, is to take it steady as she goes, because we tend to want to dive in at a bullet a gate and feel better all at once.
Yeah.
But as you work on yourself, you are going to trigger, for want of a better way to put it, you're going to bring up a lot of negative feelings, or you're going to move through a lot of the thought patterns that you've been used to having. So you need to allow yourself that space, right? Yes. To feel through there's a reason we have emotions. There's a reason our bodies react to it. So allow those things to happen gradually as they happen. And I'll give you an example here. So when I had finished when I quit my job, right, I was actually doing a marketing course, and something that I have come to use extensively, both with my clients in the coaching and myself, is something called mirror work, which is created by Louise Hay. Love that woman. And this in this marketing course, this lady said to me, she said to us as prerequisite, she said, all right, what I want you to do is before you start the course, go to the mirror and tell yourself I love you. I thought it was the most ridiculous fucking thing I'd ever heard. I was like, what do I want to do that for? Seriously, that's what I thought. Anyway, so I did. So I went, all right, well, it's part of the course. So I'm going to do what she says. So I went, and this was the minute that it became really obvious to me how much work I needed to do. I went to the mirror, and I couldn't even look at myself, let alone get the words out. I just couldn't do it because I didn't believe it. And so that afternoon, I lay on the couch and just blubbered the whole afternoon.
Yeah.
And that was a pivotal moment for me. That was a step that I took because I'm choosing my words carefully, but it made me really aware of how much work I really did need to do on myself.
Yes.
And so that was the moment when it was like, okay, there's a lot of work that needs to happen here, inner work for me. And it probably, those weren't the words I used. It was probably more along the lines of, I've got to get better.
Yes.
And I know that there's a lot to go through. Yeah. So I had to remind myself small steps. And so I became quite gentle with myself in the fact that, you know, when I was having a really bad day, during my mental breakdown, if all I could do was get up and have a shower and do the dishes, then I was happy, because the day before I couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how bad it was. And I'm sure that a lot of people watching this can relate to this. So small steps, steady as she goes, be gentle on yourself, but always having that in the back of your mind that you have made that decision to move forward.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, this is like, wow. I'm getting emotional as I talk about this stuff.
I'm getting emotional, and I'm trying like not to get caught in my emotions, but I feel I wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying, and I feel like I can relate to some of what you're saying as well. So I wish I could hug you right now. You're like, feel the hugs coming through. I love hugs. I miss human contact. So random, but I miss human contact with this COVID stuff. I haven't been able to see people do anything. Don't know what this feels like.
I feel you, sister. Totally get you. Yeah, I understand. Me too.
Wow.
Oh, so that's 2. We're only up to 2.
3. We're powering through. We're powering through.
Powering through. So number 3 is accept your perfect imperfection.
Ha!
I love this. And this is a phrase I use all the time, even with my clients now, is nobody, absolutely none of us are perfect. Tony Robbins isn't perfect. Oprah isn't perfect. You know, bloody Harry Potter wasn't perfect. You know, whoever, I don't know, I'm just naming names here. But no one, not single one of us, I don't care who you talk about, we all are perfectly imperfect, because that is who we are meant to be. So if and when we make mistakes in life, that's okay. It's okay. And again, I laugh. It's a nervous laugh, I think. But, you know, and again, going back to in my life, because I had been told so much that I was a useless human being in a nutshell by lots of different people, you want to be perfect. You want to then, it's almost like you got to prove to the world that I've got my shit together.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that no, you're never going to have all your shit together. You can work towards a better you.
Yeah.
But it all comes back to, you know, just learn to accept. And again, it all takes time. That learn to accept your perfect imperfection and love who you are, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Did you, with this one, did you ever feel like you had to be a perfectionist when you were told so many times that you weren't good enough, or you weren't, whatever the horrible things were that they said? Did it turn you into a perfectionist, or did you think in your mind, was it like a rush, like I got to get this done, it has to be like this, it has to be perfect, the way we end up thinking? Did that happen with you?
I would say after my first marriage breakup, no. I would say that I felt I had to prove myself as a single mum.
Yeah.
Right. I had to prove, it was like I had something to prove to the world that I could do this by myself.
Yeah.
And that, you know, if I stuffed it up, then I wouldn't forgive myself, let alone anybody, and my kids forgive me. So that was probably more in that instance along those lines. When I when I was in that job, I would say then, yes, absolutely. Because I was suffering the anxiety while I was in that job, while it was happening. I just didn't know it. I hadn't been officially diagnosed with it, right? But absolutely, I developed a level of everything has to be perfect. And it was kind of in the capacity of work. And so when I came home, that was when I just lost it. I lost my shit at home. But when I got to work, as someone who was meant to be a leader in that role, I totally overdid it, because that was the perfectionist. Like, I need to, and it goes back to, I need to prove to everybody how good I am. You don't believe it. You can't see it. You're telling me how shitty I am at this job, or I'm being bullied by my workmates because it feels like they're trying to push me out, or I'm being manipulated and sexually harassed by my boss. So I'm going to turn around and I'm going to prove to you that I've got what it takes. And that's when the perfectionism came in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It actually gets me angry when I talk about that stage of my life.
Yeah. Okay. It's almost like you're reliving it. However, look at how far you've come. You're now saving people's lives. You're now helping them so much, and that
to be able to talk about it now, I couldn't have done that 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I just couldn't.
Yeah. That's a show of strength. Well, more than strength, but I'm going with the word strength, but that's resiliency. That's amazing.
Hey, I'll take that. I'll take both of those.
Take it all.
I'll take it. Accepted and accepted. So that's the third one. The fourth one, wow, this was a full-on one. You are going to feel uncomfortable while you are rebuilding you're rebuilding your confidence. You're retraining yourself to believe better in yourself. So the fourth one is, I encourage you to push through the discomfort and the pain, right? Because change and growth is uncomfortable. It doesn't matter what kind of change, what kind of growth, right? But particularly when you're working on your mindset and your confidence, you're trying to, it's like you're trying to do a 180 of how you feel about yourself. Like I said right at the start, when you make that decision to find yourself again, it's going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. And
so you've already made that decision. Then when it gets uncomfortable, it's almost like you have to continue to make that decision. It's like, all right, this is real shit, but I'm going to keep going. All right, well, I had a bad day yesterday. That was really awkward, to say the least, but I'm going to keep going because I can feel myself changing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a show of, like, when you push through things that make you uncomfortable, that's a show of your strength, really. That's a show of, if you've gone through it now, it's not going to feel uncomfortable later on. Like, this is the worst of it, and you're pushing through. It's remembering that once you go through it, you're not going to have to go through it again, type of thing. And if you do, you'll see it in a different light. It won't hurt.
100%. Yes, you will see it in a different light. And to that word strength, to put that in perspective too, something that I think, particularly as women, that we don't give ourselves enough credit for is the strength and the resilience that we do, that each and every one of us have.
Yes.
Because pushing through the pain and discomfort is continuously making that choice.
Yes.
And that's where the resiliency and the strength comes in. And so, if you are on a daily basis making that choice to continue to move forward, even though it's uncomfortable, give yourself credit for the strength that you have in life, and to change yourself, the strength that you are showing to change yourself, your mindset, your confidence.
Yeah. 100%. We've got a comment here from Pame. I hope I've said your name right. Apologies if I did not. Once you go through it, you'll get through it 100%. Absolutely.
Nice. Absolutely. Yes. Nice. Beautiful. Absolutely. That's so true. You will. Once you go through it, you'll get through it.
That's
Absolutely.
Right. And
So what? Oh, give yourself credit for the strength that you have. Oh yes, exactly, Pame, exactly.
right. Exactly what
There
we're
you go.
doing.
So what are we up to? We're up to number 5. We're getting there.
We're 5. I'm
Number
loving
5
it. Let's do
is
this.
now forgive and move on, right? And this isn't just forgiving anybody else who's involved, whatever your situation is. This is forgiving yourself. Forgive yourself. Going back to that victim versus survivor mode, right? We can have a tendency to get stuck in the past.
Yep.
And once we take that step of forgiving ourselves and moving on, that's when it becomes easier to forgive other people. So what do we have to forgive ourselves, right? Does that mean that I did anything wrong? No. But we do, when we lose our confidence, tend to have the capacity to beat ourselves up almost. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
when you've been told that you're hopeless or whatever, you've been all the shitty things about yourself, you start to believe them. You start to tell yourself. I actually call it the inner critic. I call it the itty bitty shitty committee.
I love that.
I didn't come up with that. I wish I could say I did, but I didn't. But hey, it works.
True. It's so true. I think sometimes even to this day I do that, and I sometimes have memories of things I did a year ago or 2 years ago, and I beat myself up over it. And then I'm like, wait a second, it happened. I did what I did at the time, and I did what I thought was best for whatever reason. Like, let it go, Shalina. But we constantly have memories flash in our minds of things that we've done as well, all the time. For me,
can I tell you, I had an experience on the weekend, and I need to share this with you because this is actually the first time I'm sharing this publicly. Right? Oh,
I love it.
I know. So I was walking down the beach. It's my happy place, and I had every intention of going to one beach. I got in the car, and my intuition actually literally drove me to another beach. Right, and I didn't even realize I was doing it until I was halfway there. So there was a reason this needed to happen. Anyway, I was enjoying my beach walk. I was having a great time. And then, wow, I can't believe I'm about to share this, is that one of the people that I used to work with at the school in the front office, one of the people who used to bully me, one of my close teammates, walked past. That was the first time I have seen her since leaving the school. And I got triggered. Like, yeah. I haven't had a trigger like that for years. And I went into, I could have gone into victim mode. I started to hyperventilate. I started to have all the signs of anxiety. I had to do my deep breathing. I had to tell myself it was okay. I had to go, Ali, she can't hurt you anymore. Like, I don't even think she saw me. If she did, well, I wouldn't know, and I don't care. But and then I started to go, and I started to get angry at myself for the way I was reacting to that. I got angry for being triggered 5 years after the fact. Right? So driving home from the beach, and I kind of went, okay, I went and stood in the water. I released a lot of stuff. But on the way home, I started to bawl my eyes out, and I got angry at myself for still reacting. But I had to, that was a moment when I had to say, it's okay, Ali. There's a reason you reacted that way. There is a reason that you needed to be at that particular beach at that particular time, because that was meant to happen. It seems really full on and spiritual, doesn't it? But I truly believe that it was meant to happen. And so I had to move through a moment of forgiveness for myself. And what that inevitably did was it released a lot of anger towards her as well.
Yes.
So it was I can't believe I just shared that publicly. I didn't have no intention of doing that.
Do you think that it might help? Because if you ever saw her again, maybe you wouldn't feel this way again, because you've already lived it. You already went through it once. Like, if you saw her again, maybe you wouldn't have the same reaction. Yeah. Like if we're talking about it meant to be, then maybe it was meant to be that if you see her again, it won't trigger you again. Maybe.
I wouldn't say that it won't trigger me again. I wouldn't go that far. I would say that it might not trigger me as much as it did. I don't know. I don't know unless it happens. Is it likely to happen? Probably, because I know she lives around here.
Yes.
That's the first time I've seen her in 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing was that it happened so long after the fact. Like 5 years is a long time. If I had seen her 2 months or 5 months after the fact, then I probably wouldn't have been surprised at the trigger. Yeah. I was surprised at the trigger 5 years down the track, and that's where I was like, okay, you know what, Ali, it's okay. You were meant to. This was meant to happen. You needed to move through that. It's powerful. So, you know, and I went through. I almost went back to that victim mode again. Yeah. But once again, I made the choice to push through the pain and discomfort, move through forgiveness of myself, to be able to then have a level of forgiveness towards her. I wouldn't say I'm totally there yet, to be bluntly honest. There's still some shit that's got to come out. And maybe part of that is that I'm telling you today.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I resonate with what you're saying because I went through bullying in school, and it's been about 15 years since I left school. I still have nightmares over it. It's been 15 years. So some of these things, if you don't think of it consciously, it's still in our subconscious mind, and it comes out in some very interesting ways. For me, I know it comes out in my sleep. So maybe I haven't forgiven, I don't know. Maybe some work is left because, as you said, we're imperfectly imperfect. So we're all going to have these thoughts. But 100%, I feel you. I can feel your pain from here. I'm feeling it.
Oh, I'll tell you. Anyway, I'm having a moment now where I'm kind of pleased that I shared that story.
Like getting it off your chest, but it feels good. That's what psychotherapy is about, and coaching and counseling and what we do. That's what it's about. People getting it off their chest. So we're sort of modeling that behavior in a way as well, aren't we?
Absolutely. So, thanks for that.
It's your space. It's your world. I'm just living in it.
Love it. Happy to share. We'll see if I have it. I'll let you know if I have a cry later tonight. I probably will. Let's be real. That's okay. All right. So we're up to number 6.
Yes.
Number 6 is probably one of my favorites, being an extrovert and being a people person, is find your peeps. Find your tribe, right?
Yes.
Find the people who get you and are going to, this is important. Find the people who are going to support you no matter what. They're going to have your back. And the ones who are going to lovingly challenge you when you need to be challenged. All the while, you know, they're not going to enable you to stay in that victim mode, right? So I have a great bunch of people who are still my friends. You know, I've got a great bunch of people from the school. We challenge each other. Right, they're still all my friends. They're my peeps. They're the ones who got me through that shitty situation.
Yeah.
I also have, you know, I have friends like you who are, you know, understand a lot of what I've been through. They've got my back, but they're also going to push me when they know I need a bit of a push.
Yeah.
So, you know, the thing that I truly believe is that we don't have to do this alone. We shouldn't have to do this alone. To be able to rediscover your confidence, you need support around you. Whether it is, you know, whether it's friends or a professional, right? Have I seen professionals? Oh my God, yes. Do I still see professionals? Yes. Am I ashamed of it? No. No, I'm happy to say that I still hire coaches, personal coaches all the time. You know, I've had counseling, I've had, you know, I've seen a psychologist. It's, you know, I'm quite open to saying that I went and sought help when I needed it. Yes. And I have a beautiful bunch of people around me who are willing to support me and you know, have my back.
Yeah.
They might not always understand because it doesn't mean they have to have gone through it themselves. It doesn't mean that, right? It helps. I'm not going to lie. It does help. But they're just going to love you for who you are, you know?
Yeah.
So to me, that's a big one. And again, because I'm such a people person, I need to have people around me. So COVID hasn't been kind.
We can, like, we can contribute to people around us in helping them feel confident. Like, all of us can do that when we're feeling that confidence by reminding people of their skills or their capabilities, their strengths. Like, what we say can actually help them. And that's why sometimes it's so nice to just give compliments, but not compliments on appearance. We don't need compliments on appearance all the time. It's, you're so kind, or you're so generous, you're so resilient. Those words of encouragement really help a person.
And that's the thing too, you said before, you said you're very resilient, you're very strong. And the phrase that I said to you was, thank you, I'll take that, right? I'll accept that. When you don't have confidence, it is difficult to accept those compliments. It is difficult to accept those kind words that people might say to you because you're simply not used to hearing them. And so and it's taken me a while to get there. So for someone to have said to me, and it's something I've heard a lot actually, is, you're such a strong woman, I've just gone, I haven't necessarily said it out loud, but I've just internally I've gone, that's bullshit. That's the last thing I feel. But now I'll go, like I said to you, I said, thank you, I accept that, I'll take it. Because I am strong. I am resilient. That's a compliment in itself. You haven't made any mention of my appearance, right? But it's the inside. I don't know if I'm making sense, but it's the inside.
It's the inside. It's the way you carry yourself and the way you express yourself.
Yes, it's the heart of it all, really. It's people like it less and less these days. I think people give a shit about how about looks. Because I think that it's not who we are anyway. I don't care, when I say I don't care how you look, that sounds awful, but you hear me in my heart and what I mean. I believe, let me rephrase that. Everybody is beautiful. Yes. No matter what, inside and out.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And so when I talk to a client, I will encourage them from the inside.
Yes. Yes.
And with my friends as well. One day you'll look back and see that your scars became nice.
I love that.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. All right, we're at number 7.
Ooh, lucky 7. 7's my favorite number as well. Lucky 7.
There you go, lucky 7. So as I said, I started something new. So I started a brand new career because I'd lost my confidence, lost my job, lost everything at 45 years old. Right? I thought that I couldn't start something new. So number 7 is, don't just give up and accept the way things are. You are never too old to start something new. I was 45. I lost my career. I lost my income. I lost my job. I lost my friends. I'm 5 years down the track. I have a really successful business. I have a great bunch of support people. I have an income. I'm happy with my life. And, my confidence is, I wouldn't say it's always through the roof, right? I'm not perfect, perfectly imperfect, but I've got my shit together, right? So I've started a new career. I've built new friendships. I have, what do I want to say? Rebuilt an income, so I've rebuilt myself. Most importantly, I've rebuilt myself. And I was 45. And when that originally happened to me, my immediate thought was, what the fuck do I do now? So I am living proof, right, that you're never too old, or it's never too late to start something new. So never give up and accept that's the way things are. Take all the other 6 things from above and grow into be a wonderful, confident new you.
I love it. You turned your pain into your power and your purpose and your pleasure and your mission. You literally turned all of that into something so amazing for yourself, but not only for yourself, but for other people. You went further than that. You know what I mean? Sometimes people stop at themselves and you go further to help other people do the same because you know the pain. That's amazing.
And do you want to know the irony of it though, Shalina, is that I always had, even way back when I was being emotionally abused by my ex-husband, I always had in the back of my mind that somehow I was going to take these shitty experiences and use them to help other women. I had no idea how I was going to do that. I had a psychic one day tell me that I should learn to use, that I was going to use my hands in a career, or that I'd be good at using my hands, that I should go and study Reiki. Right, so I thought that might be the way I was going to go. Nah, apparently not, because I've been led into this. So, but you know, again, like I say, it's actually 20 years this year since I left my husband. I actually remember that when my son turned 27. Oh, anyway, so it's 20 years, you know. And so 20 years ago, I had an idea of what I was going to do and how I was going to help women. I just didn't know. I didn't know what that was going to look like. Yeah. And here I am 20 years later doing it. You know, and like I say, this is when it's speaking to number 7, you're never too old. If I can do it, you absolutely can do it.
Anybody can. So I have a question for you. What behavioral patterns can we identify in a person to know that they're not feeling confident? What type of behavioral patterns do you, from your line of work, from the people you've dealt with, can we sort of identify to know?
That is a really good question. They'll hide, like you can tell that they'll be hiding, and it's actually a bit of a hard question to answer, ironically, because I've got to get out of my coach head now and I've got to get into their mind.
Sorry.
No, but you know what I mean. So I'm just trying to think of an example. I work on examples a lot. Okay, so I've been having a couple of conversations with ladies in the last month or so, right? And there's been a couple of times when people they'll start talking to me, and they'll all of a sudden like back off the conversation. Like a couple of weeks ago, I had someone book in for a call, like a discovery call. And then she'd booked it in, she'd answered all the questions, and then the very next day she came back to me. She says, "Look, I don't think that you're going to be able to help me the way look, I'm just really scared. Right? I just don't think you're going to be able to help me. I'm going to be," what were her words? "I'm going to be a hard case for you to fix," were her words. So in my coach mind, I went, "Oh, she's so scared." Darling, I wanted to reach out and hug her. So that's how I can identify that they're almost ready to take that step, but so it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. I want help, but I'm scared to get help. I don't even know if that answers your question.
It does. It sounds like people are scared of what they might turn into. They don't know what their life feels like being confident. Like they don't know what their life feels like without fear or shame or anxiety or whatever it is they're feeling. I think it's the fear of letting that go, because sometimes it becomes a part of your personality as well.
It does. And if you're in a shitty committee talking you into the fact that you're not good enough for help. That's almost how people start to feel. It's like, you're not good enough for help. Everybody deserves help. Everybody deserves to feel happy. Everybody deserves love, and everybody deserves to be confident.
Yes. And there's a difference between arrogance and confidence.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, God, yes. That's when the word narcissist comes in. But we can talk another hour on that.
I come across people who they think they're confident, but really you can see the arrogance, and then I actually feel sorry for them, because it's like, arrogance to me is like you're feeling inadequate, and it's like you faking the confidence type of thing.
It's a coping mechanism. It can be a coping mechanism. I got to be honest, I haven't experienced a lot of that with my clients themselves, but I have seen it in a lot of people. And I'll use this person who was my ex-boss, right? He was arrogant, right? But I know now, I didn't know at the time, but I know now he was covering up insecurities because he wasn't truly confident in himself. Right? I know that now, but at the time I just thought he was an asshole. But but yes, you're right. There is a big difference between arrogance and confidence. Arrogance, whether someone means to or they know that they're doing it or not, they are most likely covering some sort of thought patterns up in their inner critic, right? And I could go on with that, but I've got to be careful what I say in that particular scenario.
I know what you mean. Where can people find you, and what can you help the audience with if they want to reach out to you, services, help, whatever it is? How can they find you? What is it? Give it all. Lay it out.
Sure. I will just spit it all out. So as I said, I have started as a personal coach. I've recently transitioned into business coaching, still doing the same thing. So I'm still helping women who have, maybe experienced similar things to me, but I'm still helping them in the area of growing their confidence, in the area of mindset, motivation, and marketing. So building a business either from scratch, or helping you grow your business from where it's at now, helping you, put yourself out there and become a successful businesswoman. So where you can find me, I have an incredible group on Facebook. It's called Business Women Rising Above. So I would love to have you come and join me over in that group, where I provide heaps of free training in the group. It's just a really, loving group. We're good. That's it. Business Women Rising Above. And so, if you would, I actually run a school. I run a business school called the Heart and Soul Business Academy. And I love that name because I have a heart from teaching people how to run their business, like with a soulful purpose, like, without that salesy feeling, without going to people and say, buy my stuff.
It's not what they want to hear.
It's not what they want to hear. So look, honestly, come and join Business Rising Above. You'll hear all about the Heart and Soul Business Academy. You'll get some free training. You get to see me. Or you can just follow me. You can come and friend me on Facebook. Ali Sugars is what it's under. So I love to connect with people. I'm a friendly girl.
Very friendly. I've put that up as well.
Cool beans. So yes, that's me.
That's you. Any final words for anybody who's watching who may need words of advice or confidence or a boost? Anything else you would love to share with the people watching?
I want to remind you again, if you're watching this and you're feeling that either it's too hard, you don't deserve it, you don't believe in yourself that you can do it, I want to remind you how strong you are to have already come this far. You do deserve it. You have the capacity to rebuild yourself, and don't feel like you have to do it alone. There are professionals like me. There are professionals like Shalina. We are here. Like, this is what we do. We are here to love, support, uplift you. Please don't sit in the background. And I almost cry when I say this because I know how hard it is to do it by yourself. Don't sit there and feel that you need to do it yourself, because you don't. We're here to help you.
Yeah.
Almost crying.
Oh no, you know what? Crying is healthy. It's a healthy emotion, and I love crying because once I'm done, I feel better. It's so good. And if there's anybody out there who's facing domestic and family violence, please call 1-800-RESPECT on 1-800-737-732, or you can call the police 000 if you are in Australia. You can call Lifeline 13 14 11, I think is the number. I hope I've got the number right.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Beyond Blue, there's so many helplines out there. You can reach out to us. We can put you in the right direction if you are facing family or domestic violence. Family violence and domestic violence are two different sort of things here sometimes. And if you are feeling suicidal and you need to talk, please, please, please reach out. There's just no shame, not now and not ever, if you need help. Like that's what we're trying to get out here.
Can I say one more thing, and I've said this a few times, is that for every person out there who is in need of help, there's probably 10 of us sitting here ready, waiting to help you.
Yes,
so
100%.
We're ready. We're waiting.
Yes.
Come and find one of us, whoever it is.
All of us. Let's do this.
We'll help you.
Let's do it. But yes, please reach out. You know, we know what it's like to struggle in our own minds, and we don't want that for you, because
absolutely
you've there done that. So yes, thank you so much for joining and sharing. You know, sharing difficult situations that you've been in, that you've been in physically, mentally, spiritually. Like, it takes a lot of courage to come out and be so bold and brave to do it. We need that. We need people like you. I'm so glad people like you exist. I'm so glad I get to know you. You're like in my circle of friends. Like, I'm privileged. So guys, seriously, add her. You will be learning so much from her. You've got nothing to lose. You want a companion, somebody who knows what they're talking about, who wants to be there for you. Join her group, add her on Facebook. Let's get with it. Let's do this.
Let's do this, girls.
Thank you so much. And we'll be doing more lives. I reckon we need to get out there. We'll be doing more lives, reaching more people, and that's the plan. So
can I say that Shalina is actually coming live in my group on Thursday?
Oh,
so
yes,
if you want the story, come and join my group, and then you'll hear hers.
Yes. So if you want to hear my side of the story, come and join the group. You need to join it to know it.
There you go.
Thank you so much, and hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If there's any questions or anything you guys want to know, anything further, drop it in the comments and we'll get back to you, or Ali will get back to you.
Sure will.
Alrighty, take care of your mind, body, and your soul, and we will see you in the next episode, people. Bye for now.